Good morning, everyone. It's Saturday, August 7th, about 10 o'clock in the morning. Temperatures around 80 degrees this morning. And as you can see, there is a lot of pollen coming in today. So I'm going to take a look at the hive and see where we're at. Probably add some feed to the feeder, and we'll go from there. I do have my smoker lit for standby this morning. I do also have a spray bottle of sugar syrup, so I'm going to try the sugar syrup, and unless I need the smoker, I'll just leave it as a standby. As always, there are quite a few bees hanging out in the empty portion of the Land's hive, so I have opened the vents up on this side. There's two vents that go into this part of the hive, and I guess they're over here just chilling. Here's a quick look of the hive as I open it up. The bees seem to be very calm. I did spray some sugar syrup on the feeder just to kind of give them something to work on, so I'll be right back. Side one of frame one, they still appear to be building some comb, even though they haven't had sugar syrup all week. Side two of frame one. Side one of frame two. As you can see, there's cap brood, some honey up here, quite a bit of new comb, which is filled with nectar. And don't know if you can see it or not, but there are larvae in the cells. Side two of frame two. A lot of the same. Side one of frame three. As you can see, they've drawn a lot of comb on this frame. They've got a lot of honey stores. It's a very heavy frame. There's a good amount of brood, and I can see open larvae. Side two of frame three. Side one of frame four. There's some cap brood and honey, but there's a lot of open cells. So they've got room to expand. There are some larvae in some of the open cells. As always, I'm not able to see the eggs very well, so I'm not sure if there's eggs, but we'll keep looking. And there's the queen. So she's going to be working on this frame, it looks like. Side two, good bee coverage. Side one of frame five, a lot of cap brood, larvae in the cells, honey in the corner. Since I've seen the queen, I'm going to work pretty fast and go through the frames. The sugar syrup seems to be working. I haven't had to use any smoke yet, so we'll keep trying and see if that's going to continue working on. Side two of frame five. There's a lot of bees in this hive. Side one of frame six. As you can see, there's a lot of cap brood, honey up in the corners, so they're doing well. Side two of frame six. This is frame seven. It's the outermost frame that's against the wall of the hive. It's got a lot of honey. There is some cat brood, but there are a lot of bees on it. Also, there's a lot of bees in the hive. Side 2 of frame 7. I noticed there is a hive beetle there, and I seen one on another frame just now, so I'm going to get rid of those two. Don't know if there's any more. Well, I'm ready to close this hive up. I'm going to use a little smoke to drive them down so I can put the frames together. And I'll be back in just a moment. As you can see, I've got it closed back up, and I've added some sugar syrup to the feeder, and they're already going after it. So I'm going to finish putting it all back together, and we're going to head up to the Langstroth hive. Here we are at the Langstroth hive, and there's quite a bit of activity coming in and going. A lot of pollen. As you can see, I've added a box to this hive. I did that this last week. I think it was Wednesday. I did take some photos and some short video, which I will probably post today with this video. I always say that we're going up to the Langstroth hive or going down to the Land's hive. Well, that's because there is a hill, and these two hives are about at least 1,000 yards, 100 yards apart, not 1,000, but 100 yards apart. And so I refer to them as up to the Langstroth or down to the Land. I'm going to open up the hive and see what we've got going on today, and I'll be right back. As you can see, there's a piece of comb on the top of these frames. When I was here the other day, there was a piece of comb hanging off the side of one of the frames, and I tried to put it on one of the foundationless frames, and it was too heavy with nectar. So I chose to put it in the top of the top box and let them rob out the nectar, and they chewed a lot of the comb away because it was a much bigger piece. I'm going to scrape it off and put it in a coffee can I've got here to keep for further use, future use. You can also see that the feeder is empty, so I plan on adding some sugar syrup to it. But first I'm going to take a look in this top box and see if they've done anything, and get down to the second box. Well, as I was going through this box, I did find 3 hive beetles in the crevices of these frames. I got 2 of them killed, but the third one flew away before I could kill it. I'm going to take this box off now and see what we got in the lower box. When I added the second box this week, I did add a few more frames that were foundationless to the lower section. I've still got the 2 that have plastic foundation in them. One of them's a plastic frame and the other one's a wooden frame with a plastic foundation. I'm planning on moving those up into the upper box today. I've got one more foundationless frame that I'll put it in their place down here, and then I've got another frame that I'm going to add that's got foundation in it, but we'll see what they do with it. I'll be back in just a moment. Here's the wooden frame that has a plastic foundation in it. As you can see, they've drawn part of it out. They've got it full of nectar. There's nothing on the other side. This is one of them that I'm planning on moving up into the upper box. I did spray a little sugar syrup across the tops of the frames to kind of keep them busy. I still have my smoker on standby. This is one of the foundationless frames I added this last week. They haven't drawn any out on it, but they look like they might have cleaned it up a little bit. This is one of the foundationless frames they've been working on. They've got this thing full of nectar, and there are some capped cells on here for brood cells. They're kind of drawing it out a little wonky. I'm going to try straightening it out a little bit. There's a piece of foam that come off of the frame when I pulled it out. I'm going to try putting that on one of the foundationless frames that don't have anything on it yet. This is another one of the frames that I added this week that were foundationless. I picked up the piece out of the bottom and added to it. It had this small piece over here to the right, so we'll see what they'll do with that. This is the other frame I added on July the 24th. The first foundationless one was the other one I added on the 24th. They've got quite a bit of drawn comb on this. They haven't put much in it yet, but I'm planning on adding some nectar, or sugar syrup rather, to the feeder, so they'll probably fill it with sugar syrup. Here's one of the first foundationless frames that were in the hive. They've got a lot of nectar, cap brood, open larvae, so they're doing quite well. I've seen several bees with pollen on them. I assume they're using it up to feed the brood as fast as it's coming in. I'm not seeing a lot of pollen in it, so we'll go on to the next frame. This is the final final foundationless frame I have in the bottom box. It's full of nectar, cap brood, and there's the queen. It's a very heavy frame. Lots of bees on both sides. As you can see up here in the corner, they've kind of pulled out the comb into the area of the plastic frame next to it. So I need to definitely make sure I put it back the same way I took it out. Okay, I did move those two frames of partially drawn foundation up to this upper box, and I put the rest of my sugar syrup that I had with me into this feeder. As I said earlier, I added another frame that was foundationless, and then I took one of the other plastic frames and put it on the outside in the lower box. So I'm going to close it up and I'll be right back. I don't know how it happened, but when I went to close up the hive, the queen was on the inner cover. She did go down into the hive through the hole of the inner cover, and hopefully she'll go back down into the lower box. It was quite a scary situation for a minute there. Well, that's going to be all of it for today. Thanks for watching. I appreciate your sharing and subscribing if you would. And if you like my videos, give me a thumbs up. So I'll see you the next time I visit the apiary.